joking too, sipping and roasting. Yeah, that's what we do. Set 'em up, knock 'em down, make that cherry glow. Whiskey and cigars, the gentleman's cologne.
Cheers, y'all. That sounds like a party about to happen, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine radio program, podcast, and video extravaganza known internationally
Hi, Mom.
as the world-famous Smokin' and Toastin'. Welcome, my friends, to our show where we talk about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars.
Love those things.
Today's show is number 362. Now, for those of you...
I was just sitting here doing the math on that.
Yeah.
That puts us like almost exactly at the halfway point to 400.
Excellent. That's so exciting. I'm really stoked. We're going to have a great show today just because of where we are in the count to 400. I love
Those
it.
halfway points are good markers, right?
They are. It's important to make note of things like that.
Fun fact, I've worked here for the entire time that it's been halfway to 400.
We like to keep the party going.
Thank you, Terry. On today's show, number 362, which, by the way, that might be meaningless if you listen to us on the radio, but what you should know is this show's been around for a while, even before we were on broadcast radio. And so we kind of number our episodes to keep ourselves current in the count, as Ian has shown. And this is 362. Today we'll be talking about the best whiskeys and best new breweries of 2023.
Oh.
You know, lists are a big thing. We'll also go back and revisit Cigar Aficionado's Cigars of the Year list, because when we recorded the show that aired last week, it was still actually, they had released 10 through number 1, but then the following day, I think, after we recorded, they released the bottom, 25 through 11. Right. So we'll go back and take a look at that. Some interesting cigars in that. I've already perused that list, so we'll give us a few interesting things to talk about. Ian and I will both talk about a cigar that we had this week. We will do some testing, or some tasting.
Testing?
Testing and tasting.
Taste testing?
From
tasting?
Panther Island Brewing Company in Fort Worth, Texas. We'll be trying their Allergeez, which is spelled Allergeez. It's an American wheat ale. And it's kind of interesting because on the can, which you'll see when we get to it, or maybe Adam will super up the B-roll here, but when we get to that can, you'll see that they play off both the wheat allergies that some people have, and then the bee allergy, because it's got bees on it. The guy looks a little funky and stressed out there. Panther Island, a good brewery. We have done, I think, one other beer from them before, so this will be fun to do. From North Haven, Connecticut, Timber Ales is the name of the brewery. We'll be trying their IPA called Insomniacs and Daydreams.
That sounds interesting.
Sounds dreamy and maybe a little hazy is what I'm guessing.
A little hazy.
And then finally from Perennial Artisan Ales, you're familiar with them, Ian.
I am.
A big bomber from Perennial.
I saw that bottle
called
earlier.
Then You Roast the Mallow. It's a barrel-aged
Oh.
Imperial Stout, so we'll be looking for that. And also... we'll be tasting, although it's fair to say it's already been tasted by both of us, and I think by Terry too. The bottle of Eagle Rare that Ian gave me for Christmas, which was very cool. He brought it, actually, we did a company Christmas party, and we set up the Smokin' and Toastin' whiskey bar. And so Ian brought this for the whiskey bar, and then what was left of it, which was still quite a bit, was my Christmas present. And as you can see, I've not been enjoying it at all. So you know how I often...
Spoiler alert.
You know how I often clear the neck for safety concerns?
You've cleared 2/3 of the bottle.
Cleared way more than the neck in this case. So anyway, we'll look forward to that. And we'll tell you about some cigars to watch for. As I mentioned, CA's Cigar Aficionado's Top Cigars of the Year. We'll review that list again. And we didn't get to this in the last show, but I'm really intrigued by it. Sodas to pair with cigars. So maybe we can get to that one today.
Oh.
Craft sodas are becoming a big thing. And, of course, we'll do everyone's favorite portion of the show. Happens in one of the later hours of the show, but it is the thing we like to call drinking news. And so today's drinking news teaser headline is... one final dose of holiday cheer. So we'll have that to look forward to. And as we often do in our first segment here, we have a mystery beverage. However, today I'm dubbing it more than just a mystery beverage. Today we will be tasting the mystery beverage of sadness.
Oh no!
The mystery beverage of sadness.
Yes.
It's very yellow.
Yes, it is very,
Deep
very
urine
yellow.
colored.
Yes, it is.
That makes it so appetizing.
And it's about this size a cup too that you leave the specimen in when you
right.
when you go to the doctor's office.
And they grab
Zach,
it.
you did say you were running to the restroom at the
I
same
did.
time you said
I
you were
did.
pouring this.
I'm going to the restroom and I'll bring back the mystery beverage. Well, I do have to hide the can or
Yeah.
bottle in some cases so that you don't know what the mystery beverage is that you're drinking. But I see you guys are nosing it. Yeah.
I hate to admit that I know this, but this smells a little bit like Orange Jubilee MD 2020.
Not a huge endorsement there.
But it does have an orange,
It's an orangey
fruity.
thing going on.
Yeah, maybe
And
apple.
even on the nose, there's a little fakeness to it. I don't know what's happening.
Interesting.
Oh, it's
It's
light.
It's better than it smells.
yeah, it's definitely better than it smells. Well, it's got an aftertaste.
Yeah. So
Um,
I'll just let you know
yeah.
this is a hard seltzer.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
as hard seltzers go,
Oh,
I
the
would say-
second sip gets more bitter.
yeah. But I would say as hard seltzers go, the aftertaste is not as bad as some, right?
It doesn't linger.
I'm trying here. Every subsequent sip gets more bitter and more whatever it is. It's sour. It's orangey.
We just haven't found many seltzers that we actually
sour.
like. Have
No,
we?
there's not a lot out there that I'm a big fan of.
Do I taste apple in there? To
I
me,
think I
feel like
get a
I
little.
taste a little apple
Yeah, I
in
do.
there too.
Let me bring out the can and
Bring
then
out your
explain,
cans?
and then explain why this is the mystery beverage of sadness.
Mystery beverage of sadness.
You are drinking something called Sparkling Boy, with boy spelled B-O-I. It is a craft hard seltzer from Ingenious Brewing Company.
Ingenious is going away.
Therefore, this is the mystery beverage of sadness. Before they shut it down, which I don't know if they've done it yet or it's about to, but Ingenious Brewing, I'll be honest, one of our favorite breweries, is
I loved
in
it
fact,
for its weirdness and
yes,
madness.
they were so wonderfully weird. And I wonder, though, just to talk about the business side of things for a little bit, I wonder if the fact that they were so wonderfully weird and that they changed their lineup, like these guys don't have, like if you think
There's
of
no
other
core.
they don't have a core line,
Right.
That is something you always know you can go for. Like with St. Arnold, you can with an Art Car IPA or
an amber ale.
an amber ale,
yeah.
sure, yeah. With these guys, it was always something new, and that was what I loved about them. But unfortunately, it may have contributed to them not being able to make it through. But Ingenious Brewing, we've had them on the show before. They just have made wonderful beers, and they are
It
going to
says,
be
so fresh and so
sorely missed.
clean. This bright and sparkly craft hard cider literally shines with premium natural flavors and edible glitter.
So does it have a flavor? Is it like apple, grape,
Citrus, it
orange,
says.
citrus? Just
Yeah.
citrus.
I'm
Okay.
not catching glitter in there.
I'm hoping I'm not catching glitter,
Citrus
but they
flavored
did-
fruit. Citrus fruit flavored. It's kind of written in a weird way. So
They did lyric quote Outcast, however, which, again, these guys were kind of geniusly ingenious. And they will really be missed. Ingenious, this is our tribute to you. I should have brought on one of your beers, but they had in our Christmas ale show, in our Christmas beer show, they had that one with the freaky Rudolph. It was in a
yeah.
tall can.
Yes.
That was a wonderful beer
Yeah, yes.
for Christmas. Anyway, so long, Ingenious. We hardly knew you,
We loved you.
but we loved you, and you will be you will be sorely missed.
Okay, I hate to not drink during a toast, but this is not very good.
We're just struggling with
Hard cider,
seltzers.
I'm just not a fan of the hard seltzer.
I keep trying because I think it would be
You know
nice
what
to
actually
have
tastes
one.
pretty good? So I buy the unsweetened sparkling water pretty often. I like those. if
I
you
do just the regular.
if you just pour a little vodka in one of those,
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's actually pretty good. You don't have
Yeah.
to sweeten it.
Mhm.
You don't have to do any of that. Just pour a little vodka in it. It's fine, and that makes a pretty good drink if you
It
want
does.
something light and then you
It
can
totally
control the however much alcohol you want in it.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, I have to share this with you. Rocky Patel,
What do you know about that guy?
always an interesting guy, right? He's always a guy that you. I have to. I had to pass the age request.
age
on
verification.
on the, yes, I am. So interesting to me. Rocky Patel cigars have
I like
now
that you
been.
have to be there just to get news.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
go ahead.
Rocky Patel cigars have now been smoked at the South Pole.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and now
I
to
see a picture there. Who's
Yeah.
standing there?
it's not Rocky, but it is an interesting looking dude, and he is in Antarctica. And I'll just show this photo. You can find this. You can find this photo at cigarjournal.com, but there is the photo of the dude. In fairness, I did exaggerate a little bit. He's not actually at the South Pole, but he is in Antarctica
In Antarctica.
and smoking Rocky Patel
Dude,
cigars.
Close
that's-
enough.
That is close
that
enough
point,
for
yeah.
me, my
Yeah,
friend.
and apparently Rocky Patel cigars have also already been smoked near the North Pole.
That's
So-
fantastic.
Santa.
Yeah, Santa's a big fan.
Santa
My-
likes the Rocky Patel.
I know he brought me some Rocky Patels, so clearly he dove into the box and had one for himself. Can you see him taking off? The reindeer doing all the work. He's just sitting back there with the bags of presents, just puffing on a big.
I just bought a box of the number 6.
Oh man! And remember
That's
the
so
one
good.
the one that I had on last week's show. That that new one was fantastic. Oh.
Yeah,
Just really
Rocky.
good.
Rocky's still rocking it, man.
Yeah, so kudos to Rocky for now spanning the globe with his cigars. It's a pretty cool thing.
Yo, Rocco.
Yeah. We will get into some interesting stuff on today's show. In addition to revisiting the Cigar Aficionado top cigars list, we also have a look at the. We're talking about best whiskeys, right? And we've got even a look at the 10 of the best bourbons released in 2023.
Don't
we have
threaten me with a good time.
lot of lists to get to, so I'm really excited about that. Cigars to watch for, as I mentioned, drinking news is coming up, and sodas to pair with cigars. A lot of stuff going on today's show, so I hope you will be liquored up and looking forward to it.
I'm down. I'm on it, man.
Right. And by the way, thanks. Ian brought our show beer. We often do show beers just, to kind of set the palate up because we figure we may not get enough to drink during the show.
You gotta lube the wheels a little
we got to
bit.
start a little bit. And Ian brought me one of these very, very fine
We don't start our
Allstat pills.
tastings until at least the second or third.
Right. And that's a long time to go without
to
a drink.
wait.
Yeah. Or with just a hard seltzer.
I start getting a condition called drangry. That's where there's nothing in my left hand to keep it open. It starts to ball into a fist.
Yeah, and that's not good. You don't want to
Right.
have a fist on the show. It's not. We're not that aggressive type of show.
Get off my lawn.
Exactly. So we will. As I said, lots to look forward to. But thank you for greasing the wheels, as it were.
And
You're
thank you
welcome.
for my gillies. I got
so
gillies.
I brought a few different things that I had left over from my New Year's party, and I have a Hill Country Bock from Real Ale, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Allstat
Yes.
pills. That was the last one of those, and the last Gillies from No Label over there. And then I have a couple of Shiners left in here.
Yeah, well, it's good stuff, and I hope your New Year's party was fun.
It was a good time. It was a good time.
Yeah,
My neighborhood pretty much sounds like Beirut.
Yeah, it's
from
a lot
about
like
the
that.
22nd to about the 2nd of every year.
It's still going on downtown at my place. You're lulled into a sense of quiet, and then bam, 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 off they go. So, but it's all good. All right, we are going to take a break, and we will be back with more. You were listening to Smoking and Toasting. When we come back, Ian will fill us in on a cigar he said this week. Yep, we'll be right back at Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back at Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars.
And that awesome guitar tune you just heard.
Yeah, well, okay. I'll just let it go. I'll just let it go. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Ian is, of course, a fan of the hand-rolled cigar, and I believe you may have one to talk to us about from this week, right?
I do. Today I picked up an Alec Bradley double broadleaf.
Ooh, double broadleaf. So that's going to be a little
double broadleaf.
little-
This was a
have a
very
little punch
robust,
to it. Yeah.
very robust cigar.
Yeah.
And at that, it was a Robusto at 5x50.
a robust
ring gauge.
Robusto.
A robust Robusto. The binder. I put the colon in the wrong spot when I put it in there, so it says bind colon R. The wrapper is Honduras. The binder is Honduras and Nicaragua. The filler is Honduras and Nicaragua. The appearance on this espresso brown wrapper, some veins, leathery and oily to the touch. Alec Bradley Experimental Series band. So they have this experimental series that they're doing.
Which
This
is
one
very
of
cool.
those,
Yeah.
And then a secondary band that says double broadleaf. The prelate sniff on this barnyard and earth fermented hay. The prelate draw. I used a punch. It had a little bit of a tight draw. Dark fruit, creamy, sweet, and woody and tangy leather going on just before I even lit it. The initial light on this, I got the sweet Nicaraguan pepper hug right off the bat. Right? It's a variation on the Nicaraguan pepper blast.
Yeah, I got you.
The leathery, earthy, sweet, and creamy retrohale is spicy and woody. The first third of the cigar comes in spicy and sweet, leather and earth, all backed by a cedar fountain. I think my autocorrect got me on that one. Foundation is what I meant to say.
Oh, yeah. But a cedar fountain does sound very interesting,
Cedar.
doesn't it? Yeah.
The cedar just shoots cedar in the
It's
air.
a fountain of cedar.
We actually, so like here in Texas, we kind of have that already. The cedar
we
pollen.
do. And
It's just-
when I was younger, I had like a respiratory allergy to cedar.
Yes.
So when the cedar fountains would go off, I would be like all stopped up. It was a
Dense,
bad
rich
day.
smoke, hints of mocha and coffee. Retrohale is sweet and cedar. Solid ash, uneven burn. The second third of this, riding the same rails as the first third, the mocha and creamy sweetness ramps up a little bit. The retrohale is sweet and cedar with a touch of pepper. Solid ash, good burn at this point in time. The last third of the cigar, dark fruit and cedar kind of pull forward while the sweet coffee and mocha compete for attention. Right behind it, leather and spices are consistent underneath. The retrohale, sweet coffee and cedar with a bit of spice. Solid ash, good burn. This cigar cost me $9.85. That is a premium cigar
It
right there,
certainly
my
is,
friend.
yes.
And it had premium deliciousness. I give it a solid 5. You're getting
Solid
exactly what you're
5,
paying
yeah.
for.
So
all day long with this Alec Bradley. I will be buying more. I love the flavors in this.
The price to quality scale, since we're in a new year, we should remind people that it's a 1 to 10 scale, but at 5, it means you got exactly what you paid for. So it means the cigar was worth every penny. If you rate it higher than that, it means you wouldn't have been upset if it even been a little more. You still would have felt
still
you got
would
your
have been
money's
happy,
worth. Yeah. And if it rates under a 5, it could still be a good cigar, but maybe
a little
it didn't
overpriced,
quite deliver at the price that it was at. Well, I've got an interesting one, and I have a question for you because we're going to get to mine in the next segment. But the cigar I'm going to talk about today, I actually gave you one of these in your little holiday gift that I gave you. I'm going to be talking about the Room 101 muzzle loader. Have you smoked that
I
yet?
haven't smoked it yet.
Okay, so I'm going to be real interested to see if your experience is anything like mine once you actually do.
Well, maybe that becomes not next week because we'll be on location next week, but the week after that becomes that.
I would be real interested
review.
to see how close you're. Because that's always the thing when we both. It's happened at least one time where we both unknowingly
It's happened
smoked
a
the
couple
same
times, yeah.
cigar
Yeah.
the same week and talked about it. So it's always interesting. But anyway, we'll get to my thoughts on the Room 101 muzzle loader when we come back. And we also, of course, will be getting to some of the big stuff on today's show, which is all about, the new breweries, best new breweries of 2023, and the best whiskeys of the year now that 2023 is in the rearview mirror. We'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toast. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars, things that I can occasionally talk Ian into partaking of.
Yeah,
which is a good thing.
You have to twist my arm a little bit.
I smoked a really interesting one this week, and I had asked you about this in the last segment. I gave you one of these as well because I'd gotten a handful of them and had not smoked them at the time I gave it to you. But I had pretty decent high hopes because it's the Room 101 Muzzle Loader, which is a new cigar or a newer cigar from Room 101. Now, Matt Booth's company, Room 101 Cigars, is known for pushing the envelope a little bit and coming out with some very interesting blends. And so I was pretty excited to get my hands on the Muzzle Loader. There's only one size, at least for now, and it's a Gordo. It's a 6-inch and 60 ring gauge smoke.
It commands presence.
It was packed pretty densely, but I got a nice draw on it even before lighting it once I used the punch cutter on the end. So the Muzzle Loader is made from Nicaraguan and Mexican fillers with a Nicaraguan binder and a Habano wrapper from Ecuador on the outside of the cigar. It is blended and rolled in Nicaragua at the A.J. Fernandez factory, which I did not know until I started researching it.
Always the A.J. with you.
Apparently not by A.J., but that is where it's made, although I have now read some reports that Matt and A.J. collaborated on the cigar, so I'm not sure what to believe. But anyway, A.J. was at least tangentially involved, so let's see what they came up with. The pre-light gave me wood, leather, and spice, and a sort of a premonition, if you will.
The pre-light gave you wood.
Yeah, that this was going to be a very big cigar, speaking of wood. And I'm not just talking about the ring gauge, speaking of wood. Sure enough, when I lit it up, I was immediately greeted by our old friend, still songless after all these years.
Still songless.
The Nicaraguan Pepper Blast.
Nicaraguan Pepper Blast.
Yeah.
So it is.
How hard would it be to do a Nicaraguan Pepper Blast song if you were a musician?
I've got to feel I've got to feel the inspiration.
Yeah, I understand. It's called writer's block, isn't it? That's what I'm thinking.
I don't believe in writer's block.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I asked Ian many moons ago if he could come up with a little song for the Nicaraguan Pepper Blast, because it does seem to happen frequently in the reports that we do. And he said, of course, and then he never did. So we'll see how that works out in the future. It's a new year, it's a new day.
Maybe there'll be a new song.
Maybe there'll be a new song. We can only hope. I did have to ask Ian for another song, which you'll find out about later in the show. That's all I'm going to say about it for now. But it's not the Nicaraguan Pepper Blast song. The NPB, which we like to call the Nicaraguan Pepper Blast for short, it settled down pretty quickly, though. But what I could tell was that the Muzzle Loader was going to be a very strong cigar. This is one of those that would go well with a spicy rye whiskey after a big steak dinner, and you're just kind of sitting there fat and happy and like, oh, yeah.
Sitting there in all your savoriness.
Yes, that's exactly right. Leather, earth, and chocolate were the notes that vied for attention in the first third. There was also a distinct flavor of coffee bean that kind of came and went. Nice construction, perfect burn, nice ash, full-bodied from the very beginning. This is not a cigar that
Are we talking about a cigar or are we talking
into
about
full-
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. This is not a cigar that developed into full-bodiedness. This didn't happen,
This was made this way.
Yeah, right, exactly. Second, third, more of the same, but it never got boring. For such a full-bodied cigar, it had quite a bit of complexity. A note like pine needles on the retrohale, but again, very pleasant. It may not necessarily sound pleasant, but it was. It was just like, oh, nice. Something new in the final third, a very savory note of cinnamon joined the party, along with a pleasant nuttiness. Intensity was as strong as ever. To be totally honest with you, this cigar kind of kicked my ass.
Oh, wow.
It was really, really big. I mean, in terms of the flavor profile and the strength of it. Eat something before you try this cigar, is what I'm going to tell you. But if you love full-bodied cigars, this should be in your humidor. It really should. At $6 to $7, it's a steal if you like them big and bold.
Okay.
Yeah. Flawless construction. And maybe better than most other cigars that I've tried at this particular strength.
Wow.
I loved it, even though it just about knocked me out, price to quality. And I don't give this number out a lot. It was a 7.
Wow.
And
big.
now, that's largely because it was a $6 to $7 cigar.
Right.
If this had been, a $10, $11 cigar, I'd have given it a 5. But that's how impressive this was at that lower price range. And it makes me just wonder, how did they do it?
Well, don't tell people that, because then they're going to raise their prices.
Yeah, like Oliva did. See, we've been talking about how great it was that Oliva was so affordable for too long, and now they're raising their prices. But, they deserve to.
I know. I had to pay $13 for a 135th anniversary today.
Yeah, I bet it was good.
I haven't smoked it yet, but it's always good. You know?
Oh, yeah, always good. Yeah, Jim Heim was smoking one of those the other night when I was over at his place. He was a fan of that. So anyway, that's my wrap up on the muzzle loader. Get it? It's worth it, but only if you like really big, really strong cigars, because it's not pleasant.
Yeah, this is not like my first cigar.
No, for sure. For very, very sure. So in the world of whiskeys, so we talk about whiskey a little bit. There is a magazine which is owned by the same people that own Cigar Aficionado, and it's called Whiskey Advocate. Mm-hmm. And Whiskey Advocate does their list of the best whiskeys of the year each year, kind of like Cigar Aficionado does with the cigars.
Yeah, with the cigar list, yeah.
So let me run through some of these, the 20 best whiskeys of 2023, according to Whiskey Advocate. The number 20 was the Ezra Brooks 99, a $25 bottle of whiskey. Came
hard
in
to
at
go wrong with Ezra
number
Brooks.
20 on this list. I just want to point that out because you're not going to see a lot of $25 bottles on this list. It's that's pretty impressive. At 19, Fuji from Japan, score of 92, and it retails for $70.
That's a big discrepancy in price right there.
Yeah, for sure. At 18, the Teeling Wonders of Wood 2nd Edition Virgin Portuguese Oak, a $100 bottle of whiskey.
I may have to try that. I love the Teeling double oak.
And this is the Wonders of Wood series from those guys where they try a lot of different woods and different things. And this is Virgin Portuguese Oak is the barrel that this was rested in. So $100. It is from Ireland, of course, and it scored a 93 in their ratings. At number 17, Crown Royal Noble Collection. Crown Royal Noble Collection. I should have read it that way. Barley Edition. It's an $80 bottle. It scored a 93 as well. Are you a little surprised to find a Crown Royal on this list?
A little bit, but I haven't seen that either. That might be something to be interesting enough to make me go, I might have to try it.
Yeah, at $85, it's 45%, and it looks pretty interesting. And I have not bought a Crown Royal product in years.
I don't know what happened this weekend, but Pauly Shore has been all over Instagram with his page and stuff, and he was just sitting there drinking a bottle of Crown and just spewing things all, All
right, so let's talk about Crown for 2 seconds.
Oh, thank God, because I thought you were going to say, let's talk about Pauly Shore. Yeah, let's talk about Crown. Go ahead.
Crown is not bad.
Yeah, well, I used to drink it like Crown and Coke, right?
Yeah, it's even fine on its own. Like just a couple of chips of ice, it's fine. It's a decent whiskey. Yeah. Like everyone naysays it, but it's decent.
With a score of 93 at number 16 on the list, a $70 bottle of whiskey from Ireland. It's the Green Spot Quail's Gate.
Yes, Green Spot.
Good. That is good
fantastic,
stuff.
yes.
Really is. In fact, I got a little bit of that left at home, as a matter of fact. I have to get to that maybe later today. At number 15 with a score of 94, Old Elk Port Finished, a $90 bottle, and the distillery is in Colorado.
Hadn't seen that one before.
You familiar with Old Elk? Yeah. Okay, we have to check those boys out. At number 14, a name you will recognize, Glenfiddich. It's their 12-year Amontillado Sherry Cask finish.
I've seen that.
It's a $55 bottle. Yeah. The Cask of Amontillado. I remember reading that story in high school.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't know. I should have paid more attention because it would have given me some background for this. The Hemingway Signature Edition, an $80 bottle from Indiana and Kentucky, comes in at
we're just being all literary
13.
with the last two.
We certainly are. Cask of Amontillado.
Yeah, Amontillado. That was Poe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No.
Which one? Cask of Amontillado?
Yeah.
I think it may have been Poe. Yeah. I think it may have been. At number 12 is the Blue Run Trifecta. The most expensive one we've had on the list yet. It's a $180 bottle. It is from Kentucky, and it scored a 94 in Whiskey Advocate.
Nice.
So that's number 12. At number 11, Barrel Craft Spirits 6-year-old cask strength. It is a mixed whiskey from Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. But we've had barrel reps on the show before.
Barrel makes great whiskey.
They make great stuff. It's a $90 bottle, scored a 94. At number 10, Glendronach Cask strength, batch 12, scored a 94. It's a $105 bottle, and
I don't
of
remember.
course, it's from Scotland.
Do you remember that Glendronach 18 that I had? That was
I do.
so
It was really, really good, is what I remember. At number 9, a $160 bottle of whiskey from Kentucky, the Bardstown Bourbon Collaborative Series 4 Square. Scored a 94, and it's a 50 for a little higher proof. It's a 53.5.
That might be good. I like Bardstown, just their regular, you know,
Nothing
$30 or
wrong with
$40
that.
bottle. That's a good, you
This
know.
would be a pretty interesting thing to check
Yeah.
out. Glenmorangie, A Tale of the Forest, comes in at number 8.
I haven't tried that.
I
I've had
have
a tail
not
of
either.
cake.
Yeah,
we had that on the show.
$102 for A Tale of the Forest, and I am intrigued. We
Very
should,
much so.
Maybe we'll go in halvesies on a bottle,
Yeah, that sounds good.
but I get to pour the half.
Noted. Are you going to pour it into an oldie container for me?
I'm going to pour it into a Sprite bottle, if that's okay. You may remember that.
You know, I was looking for that the other day. I was in the liquor store and I couldn't find the cigar malt because it wasn't in a bright green 20-ounce bottle.
Yeah, and it should be. At number 7 on our list, Dewar's Double Double, 21-year-old Mizunara Oak. It's a $150 bottle. It's, of course, from Scotland, and it scored a 95 in Whiskey Advocate, so very nice. At number 6, Maker's Mark Cellar Aged 2023. You know, I don't have this particular bottle, but I do have a couple of those special bottles of Maker's Mark.
Yeah, the Makers are so good.
Man, it is really, really good. $150 for that bottle. At number 5, Wild Turkey Master's Keep Voyage.
Oh, Master's Keep is so good.
$275 bottle, most expensive one yet on the list. It scored a 95. Wild Turkey, of course, from Kentucky. But yeah,
Do not sleep on Wild Turkey. Everything they make
Master's
is
Keep
great.
Voyage. Yeah. I have to admit, I have this next one. I was gifted a bottle of it this year. It's the Little Book Chapter 7 in retrospect.
Somebody likes you.
Yeah, it's a $150 bottle. It's from Kentucky. It's number 4, the Little Book in this list. Number 3, I'm not at all familiar with this whiskey. The Westland Gariana, number 8.
I don't know anything about that.
It's from Washington State. It's a $150 bottle, and it looks really interesting, and I'm going to have to see if I can find that. That sounds really, really good. Highland Park Cask Strength, batch number 4 is number 2 on the list. It's a $100 bottle, Scotland.
Highland Park, always good.
Yeah. And number 1 for 2023, according to Whiskey Advocate, the Glenglossa Sanded.
That's easy for
Sanded.
you to say.
I didn't say any of it right, I think. Glenglossa Sandend. It is a $70 bottle from Scotland, and they ranked it a 95 and ranked it number 1 on
Number
the
1.
Whiskey Advocate list.
I'm going to have to, I will go look for that like ASAP.
I wonder if the same thing happens to, things that score number 1 on this list as does in the cigar world with the Cigar Aficionado
just
list. where it's
disappears from all the
really
shelves.
hard to find, yeah. But I wouldn't mind trying the... I'm actually very curious about the Westland Gariana, $150 bottle from Washington. There's several of these I'm curious about, but anyway, that's the list from Whiskey Advocate, and they do know a thing or two about whiskey. You would at least suppose, right?
They are advocates of whiskey, apparently.
They advocate it.
They do advocate for it, which is kind of important. So usually it just occurred to me that usually in this segment we try our first beer, and I
gonna
have
mention
not
that to you.
reached for the beer.
Uh-oh.
Terry, how long do we have in this segment?
We got a little more than a minute there,
All right,
so
we're
we can
gonna at least open and pour. How about
Yeah.
that? All right, so
do this. We can make it happen. We're making beer happen.
from Panther Island Brewing Company, this is Allergeez, an American wheat ale.
it is. See, it's a funny can. It's a funny can.
The Panther
the
Island
can's
from
kinda brilliant.
He
Fort
just looked
Worth,
at
Texas.
it and
Yeah.
started laughing.
Dude looks miserable but happy
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah,
I like it.
exactly.
So this is a 5.7% ale, and what we'll do is we'll start sipping it before we go to break, and then we'll come back and tell you a little bit about what we think when the break is over, because that's, after all, drinking is what we do on this show.
Yeah.
And when we're on location, we also smoke. But drinking we do every time. So that's a pretty cool thing. While Ian's pouring, and I love that
We are,
pouring
no
sound,
matter
by the way.
what, 50% there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I love this on the nose already. I do get honey, and I do get You can almost tell that it's a wheat ale.
Yeah.
Maybe only because I knew that already, but
No, it's got a little bit of a weedy nose.
very interesting. So the sort of strong wheat taste,
Ooh.
it's there, but it's kind of counterbalanced by honey.
I was going to say, I really taste the honey.
Yeah.
I really taste the honey in there.
All right, we'll talk more about this and drink more of it when we come back after the break. You are watching and listening to Smoking and Toasting, all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars.
Love
And
those
we will be right back. Welcome back to Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. Just before the break, Ian poured us a taste of Allergeez, a chill American wheat ale. It is 5.7% ABV, and it is, they say on the can, tasting notes, honey, wheat, and gold.
There are
really
few
taste
wheat
the
beers
gold.
that I'm a huge fan of. I don't hate on wheat beers at all, but I just don't find myself reaching for them. But this is particularly fun.
Yeah, it is.
This is somewhere between like Spindletap's Honey Hole, which is a little more of an ESB, but has that honey. But this has that weedy character to it.
Right.
That
It really
is
is
very different.
One of the better combinations of wheat beer and honey that I think I've tried. It's I will admit, as much as I like the dude on the can, it's a little off-putting. Like that I don't know that I would look at that and go, I'm going to try a 6-pack of this, but you should.
It's kind of
get
funny.
over- get
Apparently,
over
they
that
won gold in 2020 for something written very small.
Mm.
For
Man, if I won
high-end
gold in
spiced
2020,
beer.
I would put that in like huge
Big letters.
block
Yeah,
Yeah, it
letters.
would be huge. Tasting notes: honey, wheat, and gold. Brewed with local honey from Rogers, Texas, chamomile flowers, and rose hips, coming in at 5.7%.
I think Local Honey would be a great band name, don't you?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
I like
All
that.
right. Local raw honey sounds like a good song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or perhaps a porn movie. But but there's also
Come on, that was a self promotion there for my band.
I gotcha. And I just completely
And you had to turn it
derailed
into something dirty.
You made it dirty. I mean, I hear you. It's true.
Yeah. So
like
I really
on
like this.
Golden
I really like
Blonde.
this. Right. Exactly. Now there's a beer for you, right? Yeah, I love that. So I like this a lot, though. This is really a delicious beer, and to be honest with you, I wasn't sure what I would wind up thinking of this.
It's a little polarizing, but it is pretty good actually. I'm going in for a little more.
Yeah.
As you were saying, I don't hate on wheat beer. I'm kind of the same, but it isn't always necessarily my favorite. Although I'm going to bring a beer on the show soon that I'll just go ahead and give it away now. I love it. It is from Sierra Nevada. And you know how they do the hazy little thing beer in the series of that? This is a wheat ale in the same series with citrus. And it is wonderful.
Wheat with citrus?
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
Wonderful. I mean, it's so good. So I'll bring that on the show in one of the next couple of weeks. A few things to tell you about, some cigars to watch for. Two of Rocky Patel's newest brands began arriving in stores last month. And I just have to say, Ian, it's hard for me to be disappointed with your Christmas gift, this bottle of Eagle Rare. But I will point out that what I asked for
I know where we're
was
going with
just one cigar. Now, I gave you a gift that was not only a really nice bottle of rum,
True.
but was also like, what, 4 cigars were in the bag? 4?
There's that.
And I only asked you for one cigar.
And you got a
And-
bottle of
and I
whiskey.
got a
I'm
bottle of
such a
whiskey
disappointment.
instead. Yeah, but the cigar I asked you for, of course, was the Rocky Patel Conviction, which is now in stores. And, you know,
What's the price point on that
it's
cigar?
$100.
So just
Per
FYI, that bottle of Eagle Rare that I gave you
Yeah.
is when you buy it at full retail
Yeah.
is $30 to $35.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you can't ever find it. So on secondary, it's $100 bottle.
Oh, so what you're trying to say is there's an equivalency here.
I'm just
to the Rocky
gaslighting you,
Patel
man.
conviction.
So
This
you
is all
could
your
have spent
fault.
that money on
Look,
a
man.
Rocky Patel cigar.
That's
It's
true.
Somehow it's all your fault. Let me work it out.
The Rocky Patel Conviction and the Rocky Patel Dark Star are in stores, and the Dark Star is the one that I smoked on last week's show, and that was given to me as a Christmas gift by Adam, our producer, Adam and Sky. And Conviction is a one-size line with one price, and the Dark Star, it's very, very good. I loved that cigar last week.
Oh man, I just accidentally picked up that sparkling boy from earlier.
Yeah, it happens.
I did it to myself.
The Dark Star is rolled in Honduras and contains a fairly unusual ingredient in the tobacco blend. It is a bit of tobacco that was grown in Honduras from a seed that originated in Paraguay. The Paraguayan seed is that leaf is one part of the filler blend, which also includes tobacco from the Jamastran Valley of Honduras and the Jalapa region of Nicaragua. The binder is Mexican San Andres. All of that combined for a really wonderful cigar, and I have to go get some more of those.
Yeah.
That was just
I haven't tried that one yet. I'm gonna have to get out there and
wonderful. The Dark Star, by the way, price is around $10.50, $11.50, $12.50, depending on what size you have. So it's a premium. But boy, was it worth it. And I will be looking forward to more of those. All right, we're going to take a break, and we will be back. Still more to come in the second hour, including drinking news and some Eagle Rare, which I'm psyched about. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our show is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And
Ooh, dueling cans.
it's kind of like stereo can opener there. Pretty cool.
I'm gonna put this out of my way so I don't accidentally do it again.
It got you once.
It's kind of sad, actually, that I told you it was the mystery beverage of sadness.
It is of sadness.
It is kind of sad that that's your last impression of Ingenious, who brought us so much goodness. Oh, is that can okay? It's
one of those where when you try to pour it, it just rolls down
it rolls down the front there.
rolls down
No,
the
it's
can.
pink on the can and yellow
Yeah.
when it comes out.
Yeah, this is really interesting because this is an IPA. This is one from a brewery that I have not. Stand by. I have to go back to
Insomniacs
my
and
notes.
Daydreams from
It's
Timber
from
Ales.
Timber Ale. So we've not had Timber Ales, as best as I recall, on the show before, but they are out of North Haven, Connecticut, not to be confused with New Haven, Connecticut. And this is their big swing at a hazy IPA.
Oh, you know what? It smells a little bit piney.
Insomniacs
Yeah.
and Daydreams.
I
It
smell
smells
that.
piney in kind of a good way, too.
Real yeah, in a good way, but
Oh
real
yeah,
piney.
you definitely get the piney on
Yeah.
the resin on the nose
You
there.
really do.
For sure.
It
I told you I
smells
got
like
a little bit of that in my that cedar
Yeah.
note in my cigar, but it wasn't
piney
unpleasant.
and floral and a little vegetal and all in kind of a good way.
Yeah. I got all of that.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking I like it. I don't know how you will. But the hazy and the juicy qualities of it kind of counteract that pine.
Yeah.
And I feel like it comes out pretty balanced, but this might be a little on the West Coast IPA side for you.
It's pretty well balanced, though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
I mean,
think
it's got a malty roundness that I wasn't expecting in about the middle of the palate.
Yeah.
And I love the name and the can. I don't particularly like their typeface, but that's about the only
It's-
criticism I can offer.
It's got a little bit of a piney aftertaste, not resinous really, but piney.
But yeah, I think it's very
and
pleasant.
It's a little astringent, which makes you want to drink some more.
Yeah.
It's got
it.
a creamy mouthfeel to it that I really wasn't expecting as well.
Agreed.
And,
And that's the sort of hazy quality gives it that, I think.
those bubbles are nice and tight. Look at that. And the lacing on
Mm-hmm.
the cup is ridiculous.
It is not overly carbonated, which I appreciate. Even though you see lots of
Yeah,
bubbles.
even with all that, but the bubbles are tiny.
Yeah.
And
it's
hazy.
very,
It looks
almost
like
creamy, you know?
I mean, it looks like grapefruit juice, but it does have this creamy quality to the mouthfeel, and then it has this in the middle of the palate. It has this kind of robust maltiness going through. It's
I'm just
really
gonna
interesting.
Go ahead and say I dig it. I think
Yeah.
it's wonderful.
It's good.
This is one of those, unlike the very first drink we had today, the more I drink this, the more I like it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It does kind of grow on you as you go.
Whereas the first sip of the first thing today was the opposite. It was better than the last sip.
So Timber Ales out of North Haven, Connecticut.
I bet
Don't know anything about them.
I bet this poured straight out of their tap.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I bet
how
it's
good
pretty
would that be?
impressive. It's pretty good. I like this.
It's dry hopped with Citra and Nelson hops, and they did a wonderful job, I think.
Yeah, this is
great.
good.
I'm gonna give it 2 thumbs up with a twist.
I mean, I know this doesn't even seem like it seems pineier than what you'd think I like, but it's so well balanced.
I'm digging it. I'm kind of digging it. So I guess I just have to say, these guys are one to watch now. I want to have more from this brewery. So we're seeing. I've seen a few articles crop up, and even a couple of television reports. I saw a really bad TV report on one of the business news channels. I don't remember if it was CNBC, but one of the business, where they talked about the fact that beer sales were down in 2023, and the hosts were just absolutely vapid. I mean, they could not have been more clueless. You can
see the sunlight in their eyes through the hole in the back of their head.
They did have a guy on that seemed to know a bit about the beer industry and what was going on. But it's just interesting because the narrative right now is that beer sales are down, that a big part of it's all Bud Light's fault for their, getting boycotted. But what they really failed to talk about is that one of the reasons that it wasn't a great year for craft breweries is because there were just too many of them. When everything was expanding, I don't know, it's hard to think about too much of a good thing, right? But when everything was expanding, the craft breweries really, too many of them cropped up. They weren't all going to survive. This is the natural process. But it doesn't mean that enthusiasm for craft beer is waning. It means just, ingenious. I'm so sad to see them go, but maybe there were, too many that cropped up around that time. They couldn't just all be supported.
Also, do you think that if Budweiser was seeing a dip in sales, that the people just are like, oh, you know what? I'm just not going to drink beer anymore.
Right.
I mean, I feel like that's not the thing.
But there's also
even Kid Rock, who did the video of himself shooting a case of Bud Light, was photographed like a week later at a bar with a Bud Light in his hand.
And even or going to Miller or
tell me how to live.
He had a song with a band called Monster Truck, and that was the chorus.
He actually had a band called Monster Truck.
So their feature it was Kid Rock featuring Monster Truck, and every time the chorus comes up, it's just nobody gonna tell me how to live.
Well,
and the band is Monster Truck, and they're from Canada. It's
well, there you go.
There's a great video out there
called
Why This Song Sucks.
Yeah,
and trust me, it's a really long video, but it's worth every minute of it. Watch that video.
Well, my whole thing about Bud Light is I don't really care who they have as a spokesperson. I don't care if it's somebody I agree with politically or disagree with politically. None of that bothers me. The reason that I don't think you should drink Bud Light is it's just not very good.
So there's a couple
many more options.
You're talking about there's too many options, even in the craft beer, because the explosion of craft beer, it's exploded and then shrunk down and exploded again.
There's always a reset.
There's doing this flux thing, and like as Ingenious would let us, like just the example of Ingenious is that you don't like good beer is not the only thing that makes it.
Right.
I mean, not only would Ingenious tell us that because their beer is brilliant, their sparkling seltzer not so good, but their beer is brilliant, and they're not making it. However, you've got huge companies that make bad beer.
Yeah.
And they're making it.
And they're successful. Yeah.
So part of it is you definitely have to have the business sense when you're making it, and then because good beer is not enough. And good beer is a great help. I mean, remember when Karbach was getting off the ground, their beer was amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what put them out there like that. St. Arnold's here in Houston, one of the mid-sized breweries. They're not even a microbrewery anymore. The mid-sized breweries, great beer, and they're still cooking all day long. So you have to have.
By the way, you brought up St. Arnold. I just want to interject this. We've had it on the show before, but I have developed over the holidays a new appreciation for their Banger IPA.
Banger IPA is good.
And it's wonderful.
So I like Banger better than I like almost every other IPA.
I agree. It has kind of become my favorite St. Arnold beer now. And I loved their juicy IPA. That was kind of my favorite. And now I'm just
Banger's
all
real
about
good.
the Banger. It's real good.
And so it's not enough to just have good beer. It's not enough to have a good solid core line. You also have to have some business sense and everything else.
You have to know marketing.
And that's a hard thing. Like when you consider there's a lot of people who can do a thing, but there's not a lot of people who can do all of those things.
Right. And most craft beer breweries are still fairly small. They don't have large staffs.
Right.
St. Arnold has a little bit larger staff. They've been here for a while. They've grown to the point where they can support that. But a lot of craft breweries or craft distilleries are just a handful of people working there. And so maybe that the brewmaster or the master distiller has to be the marketing person as well. And so that's what happens in some of those situations. But you know what, Ian? It reminds me of the cigar boom of the 90s.
Yeah.
The cigar boom came out. Cigars got hugely popular. People who had never smoked them before got involved in smoking them. And then eventually, after a couple of years, the boom kind of died out. But what it left in its wake were a number of people who had tried cigars and thought, I really, really like them, and this is something I'm going to continue to do. And it left behind a market that was much larger, even once it kind of compacted, much larger and gave us much more choice than before. And that's what I see happening in craft beer.
Yeah.
It got huge. It was the thing of the moment. Everybody opened a craft brewery. They're not all going to survive, but guess what? When the dust settles, there's going to be a lot more amazing options for craft beer lovers than there were before.
Well, and there's a difference too. Like if you talk about the macro brews, Bud Light, Miller Lite, those companies, Coors Light, all those. Like if you like McDonald's and McDonald's is the only fast food you eat, that's what you do. That's fine. But for those of us who like I don't buy the same beer every time I go to the store.
No.
I just don't. Sometimes I buy this. Like there's a few go-tos that I have. But it's very rare that you find the exact same beer in my fridge at any given time because I like different flavor. And even within a night of I'm going to hang out and have a couple cigars at my house, I might have 3 or 4 different beers. I want different stuff.
But that in itself creates a problem for the craft breweries.
It does 100% because now I'm not buying six packs from this person.
If you become a fan of, let's say, a particular line of cars or trucks, and you have a tendency to always want one of those when you're buying your next car or your next truck, you create some brand loyalty. I kind of have a tendency to buy the same brand of cheese. There's brands of cheese I like. I buy those on a regular basis. But with craft beer, you're always trying something different. You're mixing it up. And that has to be a challenge.
But I would say when I go shop, one of the things that I generally do is I'll always grab a standby. So there are certain companies that when I see a new beer or I see something by them, sometimes I'm in the mood. Founders is one. Like Founders
There's a new Founders, I buy it sight unseen.
Yeah, 100%. And then Founders gets a lot of my money because dirty bastard. I mean, because
and by the way, just for those who don't understand, he didn't just swear at them. That's the name of one of their beers.
That's the name of their Scotch ale, and it's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And so that's one that I'll reach for.
But IPA is one of the best session IPAs ever made.
So other ones that I reach for, Eureka Heights has Buckle Bunny. That's one that I reach for all the time.
Fantastic.
Like, there's certain ones that I definitely repeat buy, but I always I just want to try new stuff. And even out of that, I might go in there and buy the Dirty Bastard and the Buckle Bunny and the Hill Country Bock from Real Ale, which I've been loving a lot, and Shiner. I still buy Shiner.
Well, interestingly, talking about Ingenious, which was one of our favorite breweries, and we are very sad that they're going away. But if you think about what these guys did, they tried to cater to that, what you just talked about, about there always being something different. What I think may have been one of their struggles was not coming up with something that would become one of your go-tos.
Right.
Because think about it. How many more 6-packs have you bought in your lifetime of Shiner Bock, one of your kind of go-tos, than you've bought of anything you've ever bought from Ingenious.
You would
Even
have
if
to
you-
always buy Ingenious
Right.
different ones every time.
And then,
and
yeah,
then
so
that
therein
would work.
lies the trouble. Like this, bands have this all the time, right? So you put out a couple albums and people get used to your sound, and you want to do something a little different, or you take a little
Right, you wanna
step and
grow a
you're
little
going to
bit,
grow.
like,
You're going
yeah.
to go in a different direction, and everyone's like, "Oh, they sold out," or "Oh, they got weird." You know, and it just means that they went in a direction that maybe you weren't prepared for them to take. Well, you know,
Okay, so we are almost out of time in this segment, but what you just mentioned about bands makes me float a question to you. Which is more brilliant? Fleetwood Mac Rumors or Fleetwood Mac Tusk? The double album that is so eccentric that followed Rumors, the biggest album they've ever done. For you personally,
for me personally, I'm going to be honest with you on that. Rumors.
Oh,
interesting.
Rumors is so good.
I would have to agree.
And it's
but
cohesive.
Boy, do I love Tusk. It's
Yes.
so weird.
Agreed,
Yeah,
but
it's so
Rumors is
weird.
cohesive in how angry it is too.
All right, well,
Like it's brutal.
It's brutally wonderful, is what it is. Let's take a break and we'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Oh, Drinking News is rapidly approaching, my friends. Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Oh, I like that very much. We are so glad to have you here on the program with us. Thank you very much for listening. Ian is pouring the Eagle Rare, which is a sentence that just like, it's almost like a song lyric, you know? It just, Ian is pouring the Eagle Rare. It's like a line of poetry.
You don't even need to rhyme that. You know
no,
what I
you
mean?
don't. No, you don't. You know, there's some great songs throughout history that didn't rhyme. And I'll just point out, by the way, not necessarily I'm saying great songs, but Lionel Richie made an entire career out of massive chart hit songs that did not rhyme.
You're right. Now
Not
that you
a
mention
single
it,
one of them.
they do not rhyme.
Hey, I want to point out that the Scorpions could make words rhyme just because of the German accent.
Oh, yeah, that was
that don't rhyme.
Still loving you. Yeah. All right. So Eagle Rare. Ian, walk me through this. This is such a popular whiskey.
Can I tell you how I found Eagle Rare?
Tell me.
So I was in Minnesota, and we had a whole bunch of people over at my brother's house, and my brother had a whole bunch of really nice, like high-end whiskey there.
Yeah.
But since we were having a whole bunch of people, he's like, I don't want people to start mixing my
start making
my
sidecars out of my
Glendronach Distillers
Glendronach.
Edition and stuff like that, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So he goes, so I said, okay, well, the liquor store's up the corner. We'll go grab something that's mixable, right? So me and my brother walk in there, and we grab a bottle of Eagle Rare. It's $30, $28 at the time, $30. We take it home, take it back to the house, and then we open it and try it. We're like, holy crap, this is really good. So I started buying Eagle Rare from that day on. This was
back before,
15 years ago.
Yeah, back before it became a thing.
This was 15 years ago, and you could just find it on the shelf at $30 a bottle all day long. And then apparently people caught on to that.
Yeah.
And then people started buying it off the shelf and not drinking it.
Yeah.
And they bought it off the shelf, and they said, you know what? I'm going to sell this to people who really want it. And we're going to jack up the price and call it a secondary market.
Yep.
Of course, that's already existed. But so Eagle Rare is $99 on the secondary market, this Eagle Rare 10. And there's stores that I've walked into, like just the other day, there's one in Liberty, Texas, that I walked into, and I'm like looking around, and the guy's like, oh, yeah, we have that in stock. It's right there. But it's $99.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. That's definitely a secondary price. And then the guy acts a little offended that I pointed that out.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second. This is $30 retail.
Right.
You're selling it at $99. You're getting mad at me for saying something?
Right.
Anyway, bottom line is, awkward moments. Eagle Rare is a badass whiskey.
It really, this is one of my absolute favorite whiskeys. I'm not kidding.
And at
And
its
I've had
price
some
point.
amazing whiskeys that were much more expensive.
Yeah, at
even.
its price point,
I
it's
would
one of
say
the
to
best
you-
out there.
I would say to you that if this was on the shelf for $100, I wouldn't necessarily say it's overpriced.
I almost agree with that, but the problem I have is I refuse to play secondary.
I get that. That's like buying a concert ticket that's,
I just
way
refuse.
overpriced.
Yeah,
I
I
get
just
that.
refuse. So when I find this and I find it at retail, I buy it every time, and they usually limit it to one, and that's fine. I'll buy it every time.
Yeah, it's really wonderful.
But I refuse to play the secondary market because that's encouraging it.
So talk flavors real quick on this. What are you getting?
Bubblegum.
Bubblegum.
Yeah, big time
Knew that
Bubblegum
Yeah.
all
Bubblegum.
day long. And this
Cinnamon,
may sound weird
although-
to some of you people who don't drink like the nice upper end of whiskey. If you're just doing shots of Jack, you're not going to get this kind of thing. But this has cinnamon and bubblegum all day long.
Yes.
This is
Cinnamon
an
and
absolute
maple?
bomb. Maple. Yeah, there's so many great
And a little
flavors
bit
in
of
this.
vanilla.
You
This
can
is a
smell the
10-year-old
bubblegum and taste it.
Yeah, this is a 10-year-old whiskey, and I'm talking about classic bubblegum flavor. And it's a thing that happens in whiskey. This was brought up the other day when I mentioned it, and they were like, bubblegum in whiskey. I was like, this happens in whiskey, and it's fantastic.
Well, my advice to you, if you find this and they have not jacked it up to a secondary price, buy it. Or wait, no, don't. Leave it on the shelf because the I might
Listen,
be
Give us a call.
might be buy later
Listen,
on.
if $100 is like a $20 bill to you, buy it secondary.
Yeah,
You do
exactly.
you. But I refuse to do secondary because I don't want to encourage the market.
I'm so glad I have this in my cup because drinking news is next
So
on
good.
Smoking and Toasting. Eagle Rare.
So good.
Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And I just have to say one more time, this is honestly one of my favorite whiskeys.
It's so
This
good.
is so incredibly good, and it's so easy to drink, and it's so pleasant on the palate. And wow, if more whiskey was like this, that would be a good thing. That's all I can say.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of great whiskeys out there, though.
There are, yes.
Instead of spending the money on secondary, man, there's a lot of great whiskeys that are $20 to $40 a bottle. You can buy
And you know what?
so many.
We're going to get to some more lists of that in the shows to come, of the really, really interesting and good whiskeys that are lesser priced, that are under $30.
Well, one day we're going to talk about like my favorite whiskeys that are under that price, and I'm going to lie about every single one because I don't want anybody else to know, so they don't sell out and get allocated.
You don't want that quality house to
You'll
turn
be like,
into a $50
Quality House
bottle.
is a $10 bottle, and it's way better than you would think.
You'll be like, my favorite whiskey, inexpensive, old number 7.
Old Crow. That stuff was so bad.
It really was. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so thrilled to be here in a new year, our second show since the holidays. It's time for Drinking News.
Drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news, drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news. A Florida man with one arm said he had a gator for a pet. When asked about his absent arm, he said,
I had to take my gator to the vet.
drinking news, drinking news. Now it's time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all.
I love that I never know which voice you're going to use on that. That's
I've
so
got a
fun.
small collection, and I need to add more to it.
Rowdy
In fact-
Yates on that one, y'all.
In fact, I had this idea. I'll have to tell you about this. I live downtown, so occasionally you run into, if you're walking around downtown, you run into like a homeless person who's asking you for money. And I thought what I need to do, because I almost never carry cash, so I almost have to almost always have to tell them no. But I should keep like a couple of $5 bills in my pocket, right? And when they come up and ask me for money, I'll go, okay, yeah, I'll give you $5, but I need you to do something for me. I
There you
need you
go.
to say, I had to take my gator
That
to the
would
vet.
be amazing.
So that's my New Year's resolution, is to start doing that.
That would be fantastic.
And I'm sure they would do it, like $5.
yeah.
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah. If you're homeless, $5 to just say something into the phone.
Sure.
It takes
Sure.
seconds.
Yeah.
Remember that guy that got all fit, was homeless, and he had that wonderful voice and became famous
Oh yeah,
because
became
of that?
like a famous singer or whatever.
He was had this radio voice. They made him an announcer somewhere.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Well, back to Drinking News. In only our second show since the holidays, here at Drinking News, we find ourselves still feeling a little bit festive. We had much to be thankful
I'm
for.
definitely in festive.
Yeah. Well, there's that. We had much to be thankful for this Christmas. We were surrounded by family and friends. We exchanged gifts and ate and drank delicious food and wonderful beverages. We got to experience the love and joy that were a part of the season. And perhaps most of all, we didn't do any of that in Florida. But the holidays were a little different for one Florida man.
Florida man.
You picked up on that cue a little late, but that's okay. It was still good.
I was doing that thing, when the newscasters have
Yeah.
the thing in their ear and they're on location, and they always have to take an extra second. Like, okay,
Yeah.
so yes, we're here on location.
There's this long, pregnant pause, and then they're like, "That's right, Ian."
That's what I was doing. I certainly wasn't slow on the uptake.
Well, the holidays were a little different for one Florida man.
Florida man.
Satellite time improved on that one a little bit. This Florida man, who you could definitely say experienced a Christmas miracle gone wrong. Miracle is apparently the name of a Florida woman.
Florida woman.
All right, we've totally made up for the latency now. That's good. Miracle is apparently the name of a Florida woman who was arrested on Christmas Eve in St. Petersburg. She was charged with domestic battery, which you could also call assault with a festive decoration.
Wait a second. Domestic battery. Isn't that the battery that you put inside your little...
Yeah. That would be a domestic battery. Yes.
I just want to make sure I know what we're talking about here.
Now, she was charged with domestic battery, and you could also call it assault with a festive decoration. And she spent her
Assault
time
with a festive weapon.
waiting for Santa to come bail her out of a Florida jail cell.
Florida jail.
It all started when 20-year-old Miracle, I just love that that's her name.
Her name is Miracle.
Miracle Rivera.
That's
Yes.
a Christmas miracle.
It all started when 20-year-old Miracle Rivera got into a verbal altercation about infidelity early Sunday morning in the bedroom she shared with the Florida man in question in their home in the Sunshine State.
Death to all infidels.
Cops say that the victim separated himself from Rivera and relocated to the living room around 3:40 a.m. on Christmas Eve. Miracle Rivera then allegedly followed the man into the living room where he was lying on the couch. Clearly, she thought that he'd been unfaithful. So she did what any Florida woman would do, or would have done. She picked up a Christmas tree and began to strike the victim with it over and over.
Florida Christmas tree.
Miracle sounds strong.
Now, here at Drinking News, we can't say that any of us have ever been beaten with the Christmas tree. But I have wrestled with the tree or two, trying to get it decorated. And even then, I've been poked uncomfortably by a few sharp branches.
Well, there's that, yes.
I mean, there's a reason they call the leaves on a Christmas tree needles, so I get it, right? But what authorities are referring to as the tree battering resulted in the victim sustaining numerous scratches over much of his upper body and arms, according to the police report. Miracle Rivera was subsequently arrested for domestic battery and booked into the county jail. Where
that is a particular branch of battery, by the way.
It is. It's a very specific battery. And she was booked into the county jail where she was not released from custody until around 2:40 p.m. on Christmas Day. She has pleaded not guilty to the misdemeanor battery count.
That's the Shaggy defense. Wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
The size of the tree was not detailed in the criminal complaint. A judge has ordered Rivera...
But it's not the size of the tree, it's how you swing it.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you for coming through for me. I was hoping you would be there, and there you were. Thank you.
Don't be a size queen, man.
It's a pleasure doing the show with you. The judge has ordered Rivera to have no illegal contact, which I assume means any kind of tree assault, with the victim, with whom Miracle has resided for 2 years.
Is she allowed to be around trees?
Well, surprisingly, the tree itself was not seized as evidence.
Oh.
You know, a story like this makes me thankful.
This is a very sappy story.
Yeah. Always can count on you, man. Thank you.
Sorry, I know you're trying to talk. I'm just needling
A
at
story
you.
like
No, you got another one in there.
man, do we need? You know what this show needs?
More whiskey.
We need a drummer in the corner with totally need that. Totally need that. A story like this makes me thankful for the relatively peaceful and happy Christmas that I got to enjoy, and it leaves me sad for the unnamed Florida man who found himself on the receiving end of a little
Of a Christmas miracle?
no little torture by Tannenbaum. Those of you who are regular listeners know that I am sometimes moved to express myself by writing poetry when I deliver these stories. But this Christmas miracle in particular has actually inspired me to do something I've never done before on Smokin' and Toastin'. We don't know if the Florida man actually cheated on Miracle or not, but no one deserves that kind of Yuletide shellacking. So I've decided to sing for the Florida man.
Florida man. That's in a different key, so I had to work
I
that
like
out.
that key, though. That works. So I've decided to sing a little holiday ditty from his perspective to show them that here at Drinking News, we feel his pain. And it goes a little something like this. Oh, Christmas tree, she used you as a weapon. Oh, Christmas tree, a holiday aggression. She hit me hard, I took a fall. Now you and me have damaged balls. Oh, Christmas tree, I should have known, I should have ran. Oh, Christmas tree, but I am just a Florida man. Reporting live from St. Petersburg, where I'm just glad she used a tree and not a holiday nutcracker. Ooh. My name is Cruz, and that is your
Drinking news, drinking news. That's our time for drinking news.
Cheers, y'all. So I have to admit, that song didn't sound as bad as I was expecting it
That was
to.
good. You really pulled that off. That was good. Yeah.
Nice, man.
I love that her name is Miracle
Oh,
because all I can think of is that there was one time in her life when she was born and her mother goes, "Ay, mija, you're my little miracle, so I'm going to call you Miracle."
Yeah, what a
and now
surprise.
that's what her mother
You're going to
is.
grow up to make us so proud.
Yeah, exactly.
When you assault your baby daddy with a Christmas tree.
My little miracle.
Oh man, this is one of those wonderful things. Let me
Before
see if-
Daddy left, he said you can use anything as a weapon.
Yeah. Let me bring you a few of these while we still have a moment left
Can
in
you
the segment.
bring me
Yes.
one of those?
I can bring you one of these, yes. I got that as a gift, you know. We're a very generous benefactor. Even though he didn't get me the cigar I want, I loved the whiskey. I just have to say. The best new breweries of 2023, according to hopculture.com. So they start with, and I don't know if we'll have heard of any of these, but they start with Nashville, Tennessee's Fate La Force Brewing. And Fate is spelled F-A-I-T, like fait accompli.
Oh, okay.
But Fate La Force Brewing in Nashville, Tennessee, it made the list. Brujos Brewing in Portland, Oregon. Brujos is B-R-U-J-O-S.
I think it's brew juice.
Brujus? Am I not saying that
I
right?
think so, yeah.
Brew juice makes more sense because it's brew
I think
juice.
it's brew juice.
Yeah.
J-O-U-S, juice, juice.
Beetlejuice.
From Tinley
Yeah.
Park, Illinois. Yeah, say it 3 times. From Tinley Park, Illinois, Flipside Brewing. From San Francisco, California, Enterprise Brewing. I have heard of Enterprise. Not sure if I've had any of their beers, but I have
Rented
heard
their
of
cars for sure.
Insight Cellars from Copenhagen, Denmark. So I'm not familiar with them. From Oakland, California, Dokkebier. D-O-K-K-A-E-B-I-E-R. And then I believe they spell it out in Korean, but I'm not 100% sure. But very interesting.
You're not going to try and spell that yourself in Korean?
Goal Brewing with a period after the word goal, which is all caps, and a period after the word brewing. I can only assume these are fans of what our friends across the pond refer to as football.
Football.
From Austin, Texas, Fast Friends Brewing, Fast Friends Beer Company.
Been there.
No, you and I have been to a lot of the Austin
That
beer
picture
companies.
makes it look awesome, though.
I know. I'm kind of liking it. Shred Beer Company out of Rockland, California, makes the list.
It goes way too fast.
And Brulahan from Oakland Park, Florida, makes the list as well. Brulahan. Some of the beers in these in the photos in this article, which you can find, by the way, at hopculture.com. Some of the beers in this article, the photos are making me really thirsty.
Really thirsty.
Tenma Beer Project in Oakland, California, made the list. And then honorable mention went to Elsewhere Brewing, Atlanta, Georgia, Rubens Brews New Fremont Avenue Tap Room, Taylor Beer Company, and Graham Artisan Ales. So lots of cool stuff on this list. Go to Hop Culture, which is a pretty cool website to be on anyway,
Yeah.
and check it out, because I think you may find some places that you can put on your bucket list for an opportunity to.
We haven't tried a beer this segment.
Oh, you're so right. And
This is amazing. You're falling behind on our beer trying, our beer
All right.
tryouts.
And we may have to
We got
actually do
time.
most of the. We have time.
We
All
have
right.
we have a minute and a half. Yeah.
Look at this
I can
crazy-
drink
this
me
is-
some beer in a minute and a
Yeah,
half.
exactly.
This is already like ready for me to pull. I usually have to cut this away.
So this is a big bomber from Prairie Artisan. I can say
Artisan, that's easy for you to say.
artisanal ales.
God bless you.
Thank you.
I don't have a bottle opener handy.
Prairie Artisan Ales. It's called Then You Roast the Mallow. So can you grab us one, Terry? Thank you for doing that.
Thank you for
hey,
that.
we're on. It's like kind of like we're on autopilot now.
Right.
The plane could go down at any moment.
I mean, I reached into my cooler and pulled out. Well, you don't want to know what that is.
Yeah. No, I certainly don't. I just saw enough of it to know that I saw enough of it, and that's where we are. So this is a Prairie Artisan Ales brew called Then You Roast the Mallow.
Oh,
It is
Perennial Artisan Ales, not Prairie.
Why did I say Prairie? I get those
Because
two.
it looks like Prairie,
I
except
get
for
those
bigger.
two confused because Prairie Artisan Ales is also a wonderful brewery.
That makes all kinds of crazy stuff.
But this
in
is
giant-
Perennial. So we're going to taste this as we go to the break, and we will tell you about it when we come back and wrap up the show. It's Smoking and Toasting. This is a good-looking bottle, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my.
Then you toast the mallow.
Wait till you nose this.
You're harshing my mallow, man.
Yeah, we'll be right back. It's Smoking and Toasting. Welcome back, my friends. It's Smoking and Toasting. Our program is all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. And I feel like I've made a
love those
very
things.
tactical error on today's show by not introducing our final beer until this late in the program. I feel like you would have a lot to say
So
about this beer.
barrel aged.
Yeah.
Then you roast the mallow.
Mhm.
Barrel aged Imperial Stout with graham crackers, marshmallows, and cocoa nibs. I mean,
Now-
that sounds like those are the worst flavors I've ever even
Yeah.
heard of.
Exactly.
That's called sarcasm, people.
So Terry was telling us during the break, our engineering producer, Terry was telling us where Then You Roast the Mallow comes from, and neither Ian or I knew that. So Terry, will you repeat that for us?
The movie, The Sandlot, when they are in the treehouse or whatever it is, and they're doing that, spend the night together. All the boys on the team are spending the night together, and they're making s'mores. And you never made s'mores, and you put the graham cracker, and then you put the chocolate, and then you roast the mallow.
And that's what the name of this beer is. Then
And
You
that's
Roast
what
the
it is.
Mallow.
That's
And
like
I will
a
tell
baseball
you,
movie or something, right?
Yeah, it's about kids that got together and played baseball.
Yeah, I got
this,
you, man.
this,
I've never seen that.
this has a marshmallowy sort of top flavor to it that does
This-
Yes.
make me think Then You Roast the Mallow.
Yes.
This captures everything it's trying to capture, I think. Perennial Artisan Ales, this bottle is so big and beautiful. And I'm sure it was not inexpensive. There's not a lot of information on there other than that, actually. It is
Most of the time.
It's coming in at a mere 13.4%.
Well, there you go. Thankfully, we
Again, that's called sarcasm, people.
Yeah. Whenever I drop a little bit of cashola on a bottle, it's usually something I'm going to bring in and spare
This
with
has, this is the biggest mouthfeel
you. Yeah.
in a stout that we've had in a long time. It
It
is.
is when you think stout, you often think of more coffee. There's no coffee here to me.
There's not a lot of coffee. There's super roasted caramel and marshmallow and that cocoa flavor in the background.
There is chocolate, yes, for sure.
I don't
and
get
maybe
it.
even a little graham cracker.
A little on the aftertaste graham cracker and the retrohale graham cracker, but frankly, this is drinkable like burnt marshmallow.
It is very s'more-like.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it really is, because you got to figure,
and mouthfeel wise, it's only slightly less. What's the word I'm looking for?
viscous.
Viscous, yes. It's do not drop this and leave another something on top of it. It will never come apart.
But what's interesting is it's fairly drinkable, and by that I don't mean the alcohol content, but I mean it isn't super thick. It's not too syrupy. You know what I mean? It goes down pretty easily.
I don't know about you, but I would put this on my pancakes.
Yeah.
Wow. So my mom used to make syrup when I was a kid, and her syrup was very thin, but I liked it very much. It was just basically sugar water and maple. But that's how I grew up eating pancakes, was with that.
That's not the worst.
Yeah, so I love that, actually.
Considering what they call syrup nowadays that you buy, in the
And it takes
store-bought
4 hours
bottles.
to get it out of the bottle onto your pancakes. or your
Like
waffles.
real deal actual syrup is thinner than that.
Yeah.
And it's way more delicious, sir.
Yes, but this is pretty delicious as well.
This is way more delicious, sir.
So let's review. We had a really interesting American wheat ale, the Allergeez from
That was fun.
Panther Island. We had a wonderful IPA. I thought
That
it was
IPA was pretty outrageously good.
from Timber Ales, Insomniacs, and Daydreams. We did this one, which is the Perennial Artisan Ales. Then you roast the Mallow. Thank you, Terry, for bringing us up to speed on where that came from. The barrel-aged Imperial Stout. Those guys are in St. Louis, by the way, Perennial Artisan Ales, which you got to love that St. Louis, the home to Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light, also has amazing craft breweries.
Yeah.
Take a sip of your Eagle Rare there. Now,
No, I can't. I'm sorry.
it doesn't brutalize the Eagle Rare. The Eagle Rare still comes through with the cinnamon and the bubble gum, but it does leave it a little bit more mineral watery. However, when you go back to your then you roast the Mallow, it brings out a lot of graham cracker in it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting juxtaposition.
Like
Much more graham cracker on that. Wow. Well, Ian, this is really delicious. I'm glad we got a chance to go over this and enjoy these things together. Want to remind everyone that next week's show we will be on location. We're going to be at
north of Houston,
Yeah.
El Cuerpo.
El Cuerpo Roto in Old Town Spring. And for those of you that don't speak Spanish, I will let you know that El Cuerpo Roto is Spanish for the Cuerpo Roto.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right,
Wonderful.
So,
Now
well
I know.
done. Now that we've cleared that up, what is El Cuerpo Roto?
No idea.
Really?
No idea.
So we're
We'll have
walking
to research that.
So
could
no,
be
we're,
walking
this
into
this place
danger
is
here.
going to be one of the most interesting places we've been to, with one of the most interesting ladies we've had on the show. This is going to be super fun. I can't wait to do it. We'll be in Old Town Spring, just north of Houston, and we're going to have great cigars in a cool room.
And it's next week's show. We'll see you then. Have a wonderful week, my friends. Thank you for smoking and drinking with us. We appreciate it. Until we meet again next week. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all.
Don't leave it so soon. It's so